Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for Destiny's Princess, a war story, a love story, along Nobunaga's route, and we are on Chapter 6, Among Those Who Wept. And you can never really tell what's going on just from the titles of things, but that does not sound like a happy chapter. So let's see exactly where Nobunaga is going to take us here. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. Inside the castle, day by day, the bloodlust in the air continued. Did you hear? A big battle against the demons is about to begin. It'll be good if the demons go away. It's nothing. Nobunaga will find a way. I wonder, he seems so different lately. He's like a blundering fool. The other day, he did that inappropriate thing to the princess in front of everyone. But the princess doesn't seem to be all there. They're father and daughter. How foul! Shh! Look, it's the princess! I came close, and the women bowed their heads deeply. I have a lot of stuff to be depressed about. The event in front of the main gate soon spread as a rumor throughout the castle. From the start, everyone was tired of being cooped up in this place because of the demons. The event that had come to pass there spread and had become quite the scandal. I have to stay strong. I have to stay strong. I still don't know how I should face Nobunaga. I didn't even know how I felt about him. No, I didn't want to think about that. Well, you should lay down some ground rules. Tell him no affection in front of other people. It has to be secret because we can't have more of that spreading around. You're losing the respect of your people here. How are you going to lead them if they don't want to follow because they think you're weird? However,
I'll embrace you next time.
After remembering those words, a spark in me seemed to go off. And somewhere in my mind, I realized I was sick of waiting. I hadn't seen Nobunaga since then. Oh, have we finally changed our minds here? Are we admitting our feelings? Ugh. I turned over under my blanket. My body felt heavy. It felt like I was made of lead instead of flesh and blood. I felt like waking up, but I couldn't open my eyes. My eyelids felt sewn together. Something was crawling on my body. Oh, that's really creepy. It was like a small animal, and it felt something like a hand. It better not be... Wait, is it Kotaro pickpocketing me, or is it Nobunaga feeling me up? Oh, this is creepy. The heavy breathing reverberated a multitude of time in my ear. I felt some sort of pressure pushed down on both of my breasts. It was hard to breathe. The thing on top of my body kept moving up and down. Oh my god, this is really freaky. Was I drugged? Is that why I'm so sleepy? Like, I can't get up, but I can't fall asleep? Is this some kind of paralysis drug? From the tips of my feet to my neck, sometimes it even crawled up to my ear. It was hot. Heat was gushing out from the top of my body. Ugh. It felt like my eyes were closed, but I couldn't see everything around me. It was my room. Nothing had changed. Nothing was there, but something felt off. A voice? I heard a low, growling voice coming from somewhere. It came back and forth like a wave. After listening to it for a while, I realized it wasn't a growling voice. I could only hear bits and pieces, but the noise sounded like fragmented words. What is it saying? I unconsciously listened and realized something. A sutra? Why am I hearing a sutra? Was the dagger taken from me? In that moment, I suddenly woke up. The weight in my body vanished in an instant. I opened my eyes and tried to get up. Once again, my body was unable to move. What? My body was stiff. I couldn't even lift a finger. I just opened my eyes. Oh, the room is all blurry. I couldn't even breathe. My heart echoed violently. The crawling feeling I had felt a moment ago became much stronger. Someone was by my feet, but my vision was blurry, so I didn't know who it was. It was probably a maid. I wondered if she would notice my unusual circumstances. Please figure it out. I tried to move, but in the end I couldn't. Meanwhile, my vision became clearer. Who is that? The black person crouching at my feet was a Buddhist priest. His body was bent, and he was chanting a sutra. It was low, sometimes high. The sutra flowed out of his mouth like the roaring sea. Who are you? I couldn't take my eyes off the Buddhist priest. Nevertheless, It felt like if he turned around, everything would end. His sutra chanting voice became louder. It was high-pitched, like a summer cicada. It was so loud I wanted to cover my ears. Please, don't turn around. I desperately prayed. It felt like the priest was slowly turning toward me. I wasn't sure if it was my imagination or not. During that time, something was crawling all over my body. It felt itchy. Someone please save me. As I had thought that, he was turning toward me. I could see the side of his face. I couldn't even blink. All I could do was watch as the priest slowly turned toward me. Who? My body was covered in sweat. A shadow fell onto the priest's face. I couldn't see any part of his eyes. Someone! There were only dark and gloomy caves. Kotaro, you're not watching over me well enough. Where are you? Nobunaga! My voice came out. I had intended on shouting, but I only heard a hoarse, stiff voice come out. I vigorously sat up. There was a giant eyeball in front of my face. It circled in front of me. Ah! I was able to scream this time. In that moment, I felt a piercing shock run through my body. This time, I couldn't speak, and my body bent backwards. There were two contradicting feelings. The eyeball in front of me disappeared in smoke. Princess? My door opened, and a handmaid rushed inside. What in the world just... The sutra, the Buddhist priest, the paralysis and the eyeball, and then the piercing feeling that left my body. It felt like a shock, and yet it felt sweet at the same time. What was it? I was shaking, and the handmaid lifted me up. I held on to her and was trembling for two reasons. I then looked around the room. He's gone. The Buddhist priest was nowhere to be seen. My room was exactly the same as when I went to sleep. Was it just a dream? But it was also vivid. The feelings all over my body, the sutra, and more than anything, the priest who turned toward me. It was like the man was just skin and bones. Was it Rokaku? The dark holes left where the eyeballs were gorged left a deep impression in my mind. And then that huge eyeball. When the handmaid rubbed my back, she spoke to me with worry in her voice. Princess, what happened? The Buddhist priest. The Buddhist priest? It's nothing. I'm sure I just saw a bad dream. That was all I could say. It was so vivid, but I didn't see any changes in my room. I wasn't willing to make her worry more than she needed to. But you seem very pale, not to mention you're sweating so much. I'll bring some hot water. Please wait a moment.
Princess.
My door suddenly flew open. Father! In an instant, the handmaid stood in front of me with both arms spread out. Even if you are the lord of the castle, you can't just enter a grown woman's room. She shouted with a shaking voice, and Nobunaga glared at her cruelly.
Move aside. I have important business.
Nobunaga looked at me from over the maid's shoulders.
Get dressed quickly and come to Hanbei's room.
To Hanbei's room? Why?
If you're going to waste your breath, you might as well help the princess change. Hurry up.
He spoke quickly and left in an instant. What in the world was that about? In any case, let's hurry. It looks like something big has happened. Yes, ma'am. She spoke in a soft voice as she readied my wardrobe. My apologies. I was so forward. It's fine. You said what was right. She looked up at me once, then hung her head mortified. But it's so frustrating. I don't know what Lord Nobunaga is thinking. He forced you to. When I see people speaking ill of you because of him, You. While she was dressing me, her eyes were full of tears. Oh, she's so sweet. Why couldn't they name her instead of just calling her handmaid? It's like she's my best friend in this game. I put my hand on her shoulder. I'm sorry for making you endure those feelings. But he isn't the only one at fault. Huh? The maid looked up in surprise. Oh no, don't estrange your handmaid too by admitting it. I smiled silently, and as she looked at me, she hung her head with a complicated expression on. I need to make the right preparations. Please give me some time. Yes, please, hurry. I was scared she would hate me. I even thought about opening up to her, and telling her that we weren't actually related. However, in this castle, there were vassals that had been here before I was born. This was also the case for her. No matter how much I told her he wasn't my father, it would just get more complicated. Above all else, I called that man father. Even though I knew he wasn't my father, the illusion of him as my father wouldn't disappear. No matter what I did, I felt like we were treading on a forbidden relationship. At any rate, I wonder what happened. If he came into my room this late at night, it wasn't something trivial. I was worried something might have happened to Hanbei, so I rushed to his room. I then knew. Oh, did he die again? Hanbei! He was lying on his futon, his face as pale as a ghost. The vassals were gathered around him.
Prin. Oh, you made it.
I ran over to Hanbei's bedside. I took his trembling hand. His fingertips and his lips were cracked and pure white. What is this?
We hid it well, but he was sick. From the beginning, he didn't have much time left, right?
Hanbei didn't answer Nobunaga. He just looked at me wholeheartedly. My real fiancé had died from illness. It couldn't be. Was Hanbei going to share the same fate? Hanbei mustered up his last bits of strength and opened his mouth.
Princess, I was worried about your body.
Hanbei, why were you worried about my body?
That man will lure you into ruin.
That man? Hanbei pointed at that person and quietly smiled. Oh, is he trying to cause trouble here before he goes?
He's remarkable as a leader, but he is too...
Hanbei coughed violently in anguish. Blood flowed onto his hand. He continued beneath his rough breathing.
Somehow, please be happy. That is the only thing I wish for.
Hanbei! Hanbei closed his eyes as if a string had been cut. His rough breathing started to repeat. His thin back was wavering. Hanbei! Hanbei!
You mustn't. Let him rest for a while. Everyone, please wait outside.
We all went out into the hallway. Hanbei
probably stopped the wedding so you wouldn't have to suffer, Saya.
From behind me, Yukimura sounded unusually abrasive.
He knew he was going to die, and yet...
Yukimura! When I looked at his face, Yukimura was glaring at Nobunaga.
He let her go so she could be happy, but he had to see her being toyed with by her own father.
Yukimura!
Prince Yukimura.
Masamune held Yukimura's hands behind his back as he tried to grab onto Nobunaga.
Let go of me, Masamune. I understand how you feel, but endure it. Sir Takenaka can hear you.
Yukimura bit his lip in frustration. Nobunaga crossed his arms and looked at them as though he wasn't involved. He then smiled.
Why don't you try speaking honestly? You're envious of me. What? Prince Yukimura.
Yukimura tried to grab onto Nobunaga again, but Masamune stopped him.
Can you really say that, my son? Did you think I wouldn't notice those illicit feelings of yours burning in your chest?
Father, what are you talking about? Yukimura would never... Yukimura, tell him! I turned to Yukimura. I was at a loss for words. This is actually the first time in 3 routes that, he's admitting it. Well, not in words, but... Yukimura was blushing and avoided looking at me. It can't be something like that. Nobunaga laughed pleasantly, but this time he attacked Masamune.
That's not all. That man standing there, worried about being in a different social class than you.
Nobunaga's just confessing everybody's feelings for me. Are you going to tell me that Kotaro loved me too?
Well, Princess, I'm sure you're happy having all these men fall so deeply.
Nobunaga suddenly stopped talking and raised his eyebrows. He quickly took my hand. Father, what are...
Come here. I need to talk with you.
What did he notice? Did he just notice something caused by that Buddhist monk? Hey, you haven't told me that Kotaro is in love with me yet. Nobunaga pulled my arm and started walking at a fast pace. He pulled me along. I gazed behind me. Yukimura still wouldn't look at me. Masamune's eyes were full of anger as he stared at me. No, at Nobunaga. Nobunaga brought me to a room and rolled me onto the ground. That sounds funny. It sounds like he just picked me up and just rolled me. It's a really funny image. What are you doing, father? He glared at me. Nobunaga stepped over my body and sat down. He then put out his hand. What is this?
The dagger. Bring it out. You do have it, don't you? I won't do anything bad. I just want to ask it something. Bring it out.
Give me to him, princess. From the dagger, I could hear its high-pitched voice.
Oh, so it's true that it speaks human tongue.
This is our first meeting. The dagger gave a jovial and out-of-place greeting, and then spoke to me again. Princess, hand me over. I told you before, right? I don't have much power left within me. Even if you give me to him, this man can't do anything evil. I took out the dagger and left it on Nobunaga's hand.
Good.
Nobunaga took the dagger out and put it in the light. He looked at it in wonder for a moment. He put it back in the scabbard and placed it onto my chest. He then questioned it.
Answer me. How did you choose the 5 of us and summon us here? No, that's not it. What was the logic behind choosing the 5 people we replaced?
The original 5, my father, brother, a vassal my brother was close to, my fiancé, and a ninja. There were other people who had died, but why these 5? I didn't understand either. Let me see. Was there any real reason?
That is what I asked you. Don't speak to me in a patronizing tone, you little sword.
You can't call him a sword, he's a dagger. You're giving him too much credit here.
Then, let me take a guess. The original 5 people in some way fell in love with the princess, didn't they?
Wait, does that mean my real father and brother had improper feelings toward me too? What? They were unfathomable words, or was it just because it was familial love? I could understand my fiancé, but with the other 4, they were my real father and brother. Nobunaga turned to me and spoke as if he could sense my suspicions. I mean, we knew about Kotaro, I kind of figured he would. And I kind of figured Masamune too, even though he didn't talk to me. I figured he's the watch from afar kind of person. But really, my dad and my brother?
I have memories of him here.
Nobunaga pointed to his own head.
They were dangerous, falling in love with the princess, and not being able to be close to her. The men warned me not to do that. I remember that clearly.
Oh my god, seriously?
That, and the maddening feelings of wanting to make the princess my bride. Those weren't my thoughts. I wouldn't have had those kind of ideas.
That can't be. It was true. Those weren't Nobunaga's real memories. They were the memories of my real father. I couldn't even remember his face, but he was supposed to be kind. Those were his feelings.
What are you surprised about? Didn't you think it was strange that the nation's princess hadn't been married at her age? It's only common sense to marry the princess to a neighboring country to strengthen one's forces. Why did he marry you to a vassal while you were the only princess?
That's... I had feelings for Hanbei. No, my real fiancé. That's why father did that. That's why.
He was warm-hearted enough to have you marry a man who was close to dying of illness?
Oh.
If your fiancé died, it would be an easy excuse for you not to be wed. You would always be here.
Stop it!
That is how your father felt.
Stop it! I think I would have been better off not knowing that. I listened closely and fell onto the floor. Following the tempo, the dagger fell from on top my belly. My eyes were overflowing with tears. I scratched my body. I wanted to tear my skin off. I didn't remember my real father or brother very well. However, after I lost my memories, I remembered the warm feelings they showed me in the dream about the dagger. I remembered my father's kind voice as he told me about the dagger and my brother's cute innocence. Now, all of that was polluted and broken.
I don't know about Kotaro. He never talks about his true intentions. But I am sure that the original ninja met you somewhere before. Look at me. I told you to look at me.
Nobunaga seized my chin and forced me to look at him.
It's a good thing your father died.
Huh?
The immoral feelings were frantically burning inside him. He couldn't fight like that. It's a good thing he died.
It seemed like his voice and gaze were full of affection. Nobunaga questioned the dagger as he looked at me.
Answer me, dagger. Why did you switch us with men who had fallen in love with the princess? It wasn't to defeat the demons. One person could have done that, so why 5 people?
The dagger laughed as though it was hiding something. It then ridiculed Nobunaga. That's because the princess said she didn't want to be alone. Huh? It was a coincidence you were all good fighters. I only bought those who would like the princess. That's wrong! Oh, was it? I mean, I wanted to protect this country. I mumbled, overcome with surprise. The corner of my mind told me no. It was true, I thought. I didn't want to be alone when the demons attacked me. Then, was my real wish something like that? Even though everyone died in anguish, did I try to fulfill that small desire? Nobunaga was thinking about something as he continued to sit on top of me. Why is he now sitting on top of me?
Then, when this battle is over, we won't be sent back to our own worlds. If we were sent back, the princess's wish wouldn't be granted. Let me see. I wonder. Don't try and fool us, you crafty thing.
Nobunaga smiled.
Either way, if her wish was not to be alone, then she'll be with the man of her choice.
It is as you say. You'll be together for all eternity.
Eternity, huh? That doesn't sound bad.
As he said that, Nobunaga opened up my kimono forcefully. What are you doing? I swung my hand to slap him, but right before I could, he caught it. He then kissed my hand while holding it.
I told you, didn't I? The next time we met, I'll embrace you. Be mine, Princess Saya.
We embraced, and our lips pressed against one another. This time, the kiss was much more intense than the one we had in front of the main gate. No. No, not now. Why not? Nobody's around. It's secret. It's safe. I escaped from the lips that wanted me so badly. I knew this man wasn't my real father. However, as long as I called him father, somewhere deep down I thought of him in that way. My real father was interested in me. I was still in shock, and I didn't want to embrace anyone. Plus, you only lust for me because you want to stay in this world, right? I don't want to be courted because of a reason like that. But that's not true, Saya. Nobunaga looked astounded and stared at me.
What? Well, I thought you figured it out.
Nobunaga kissed my forehead.
It's the other way around. I was thinking about a way to stay because I like you so much. If you didn't excite me, I wouldn't think of embracing you, no matter the reason.
As Nobunaga smiled, he buried his face in my neck.
I am not your father. Be at ease, princess. Rest assured and become mine.
I didn't know what to do. The strength in my body drained out after hearing his voice. Nobunaga caressed my forehead with his hand. The eyes that were frightful enough to paralyze me glowed in the faint light.
Good girl.
Nobunaga slowly turned me over. His hand slid down from my shoulder into my clothes. And, in the midst of the heat and joy that filled me, I heard the dagger laugh contentedly. I became Nobunaga's woman. Oh, what a hell of a way to end a chapter. Oh, it finally happened. It didn't feel like a gradual thing. We just kind of jumped into it. I mean, that doesn't bother me though. I'm fine with it, but... well, at least we're together now. And we had a lovely night of passion. Yay, way to go, Nobunaga. Although, doesn't that technically mean that my wish is granted, so shouldn't the castle fall down and everything? Since getting rid of the demons wasn't my actual wish? I don't know, I guess we'll find out more in the next chapter. Chapter 7 will be Stand Ablaze. Hope to see you there or in some of my future videos, and I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.